And back when you worked at Dell, you had the opportunity to work with its founder, Michael Dell, personally. Tell us what you learned from him about leadership.
Yeah, I think from Michael, it was an absolutely amazing experience. And what I learned really was probably what makes Michael and probably most of the very successful entrepreneurs who they are and why they're so successful, right? And it's the first is focus. Michael focused on few things and did them extraordinarily well. So focusing on a few things and doing them extraordinarily well is a big learning that I had from him. The second really is persistence. Michael never gave up, doesn't give up. So, and telling Michael that you're going to give up is not a good idea. So, whether it's a quarter, whether it's 2 quarters, whether it's 1 year, whether it's 5 years, whether it's 10 years, whether it's 20 years, you just keep going. Right now, as you go along, you change, you'll change direction, you'll change how you approach the problem. But once Michael said, we're going to go get this done, it didn't matter how long, how many obstacles, he just was very, very persistent. And I kind of learned that from him. And the third one was, he was very clear on what he was good at and what he was not good at. And I think it takes a lot of humility at that level of leadership and success to be acutely aware of that. And Michael was acutely aware of what he was good at, also what he liked and what he didn't like, right? So he'd surround himself with a team of leaders who complementary. And a lot of people tend to surround themselves with people who look like them and who are like them, right? Same set of strengths, etc. But Michael's leadership teams always had complementary skills, and I think that was pretty important.
So you've had a pretty exciting career. Any regrets so far?
No regrets. I mean, I believe that that you've got to do different things. I've done many different things in my career. And I've had a blast, in everything I've done. And once I stop having fun, I just leave and do something else, right? So I think it's important that, and it could be, by the way, leave the current role and do something different, or it could be leave the company, do something different. But I've always believed that the most important thing at any, regardless of what level you are, whether you're running the business, whether you've just joined a company, regardless of what industry, regardless of how long you've been doing it, is to actually have fun and do things you're absolutely passionate about. So I tend to do things with huge amounts of passion, and I'll do them as long as I'm having fun.
Okay, and as a leader, is there anything that really pushes your buttons, any pet peeves that you have?
Yeah, I think probably two that really get me. The first one is when leaders and teams don't take accountability for their results. See, we're a pretty performance-focused organization, as are most companies, and I'm a pretty performance-focused leader, and we also set very high bars. So, we're going for Mount Everest, and there'll be times when you can't get to that peak. And a natural tendency of some people is to blame it on everything except themselves or their team. The market changed, we had a recession, interest rates went up. That really gets me, because what I really want to know is what is it that you could have done better or your team could have done better to win despite and hit the milestones or hit the numbers despite all the other things that may have gone wrong. Right? Today in India, there are lots of reasons why you can't grow 80%, but I want to know how to grow 80%. And so I think that's probably the single most important thing. The other one is, I don't like incremental ideas. Small ideas. We want to grow 2% higher than the market. Who cares? Grow double or triple or quadruple the market. More importantly, make the market grow, right? So I think being able to think big, if somebody's thinking small for a long period of time, it just tires me out.
Okay, and with that, we'll head into another short break. But when we get back, we'll take a look at how Rajan spends his downtime. You're watching Biz Lounge with Google's Rajan Anandan, but before we continue chatting with him, here's a look at what Rajan does on his days off.
Rajan travels Monday through Friday. He's pretty much very busy during the week, but Saturdays and Sundays it's about the family.
We go to the pool a lot. She loves to swim. She's swimming now. And Sunday is pretty much the same thing, although it's slightly lower key. We tend to spend the morning at home, hanging around, doing some painting, and then pretty much repeat Saturday, which is go to the pool on Sunday. then also on Saturday, maybe every other week or so, I spend a couple of hours, on my investing activities because I don't get to do that during the week. So I meet a bunch of startups, usually 3 or 4 startups, during the course, between noon and about 4 or 5 o'clock. So that pretty much consumes my Saturday.
Rajan and I really enjoy going to some of the gallery openings in town, in Delhi. And if we're traveling, we're always visiting museums, galleries. We've made a pact to each other that we're going to go to at least one art fair or one biennale somewhere in the world. So it's our passion, and we enjoy doing it together. People keep saying that he's very intense at work, and but he's very relaxed on the weekends. When we spend time with him, it's sort of his downtime. So it's nice that I think he has us to balance the intensity at work.
You spent a lot of time living in the U.S. and also living in India. What is it that you enjoy most about living here?
I think India is vibrant, it's chaotic, it's colorful, and it's full of people. I mean, we have 1.2 billion people. In fact, like NCR has 22 million people, which is bigger than all the cities I've lived in combined put together in the U.S., right? Mm-hmm. And I think there is, if you like chaos and you like sort of unpredictability, I think India is a great place. I actually like those things. Mm-hmm. I can't actually tell you whether power is going to go off or not. I mean, obviously that's not very good for development, but, it's sort of uncertainty, and uncertainty, that's just a small part of being uncertain. Lots of things are uncertain. Mm-hmm. And I think it's fun when it's uncertain, right? I also like the fact that it's very family focused. It's very social. I think India is extraordinarily social. So, if I wanted to, I could go out every single night. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you have that option with people you like, not just go out in general, but whether it's family, be it friends, I think it's very, very social. So those are the kinds of things that I enjoy. I love being here, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. And we know that Google employees can spend about 20% of their time on a pet project for Google. Can you tell us about some of the most amazing ones that you've seen come out among these?
Yeah, I think if you look at some of the most successful products that have come out of Google, Gmail. Gmail was actually a 20% project for one of our engineers, right? Maps, I don't know whether you're familiar with a feature of Maps called Map Maker. Mm-hmm. Map Maker is where any user can go and make changes to a map, be it their street, be it their building, be it whatever. Map Maker was actually built in Bangalore. Blogger, the largest blogging platform in the world, was a 20% project that came out of Google. So again, it kind of boils back to this thing of change the world. Pursue the things that you're passionate about, and we made it a part of our culture to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Let's say you never entered this profession. What would your alternative career choice be?
I probably would be a teacher. And the only thing about academia that I think would take me a little while to adjust to is just speed, right? Because you have to spend 4 years to get a PhD. Well, how do you get a PhD in a month? And how do you get tenure, in a year as opposed to like 6 years, right? And how do you do a research project in 2 weeks as opposed to like a year? So I think that's a side of it I'd have to get used to. But I love the the side around thinking, around educating, because a lot of what I am today is because of what I've been taught, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in my early years, in my formative years.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is your proudest career moment?
Oh, I've had many moments when I've been very proud, but every single one of them have been when I've had somebody who reported to me or one of our team members get promoted or get something that they've always wanted, that they haven't been. Because, and that's what makes me really proud. I've always said the really proud moments of what you did are not what happens in the moment. In the moment is just, you're ecstatic. Mm-hmm. You become the fastest growing country in the world, you're ecstatic. Yeah. You become the #1 subsidiary in the world, you're ecstatic. You win a big deal, you're ecstatic, right? But the really proud moments are, many years later you look back and you look what that team did after you left, right? Because a lot of what cultures you create and teams you build really shows after you leave, right? And so I've had many of those moments. I love business. I think it's fun.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you some questions that probably not a lot of people have asked you before. First, have you ever won a trophy?
Yeah, I have actually. I was, I did a lot of sports growing up. I was actually pretty bad, but I worked really hard So, I ended up winning sort of running races and swimming races, not because I had any talent. I just worked myself to death.
What did you want to be when you were growing up?
I actually wanted to be a pilot. So I remember I was 14 years old, and I was absolutely clear that I wanted to be a pilot. And my mom, she's very supportive, regardless of what I wanted to do all my whole life. And when I was 15, she enrolled me in a flying school in Colombo. Yeah, absolutely. And I spent a whole 6 or 7 months taking all the lessons, taking all my, I actually had logged so many hours of flying. And before I was 16, I was ready to be a pilot. And then I found out that I wasn't old enough to be a pilot, and that was completely devastating to me. So the next year I moved on, moved on to different things. But for a long time I wanted to be a pilot because I thought it was just a sexy job to have.
Yeah. Who's the most stylish person you've ever met?
Stylish person? Well, as you can tell, I am not stylish. As my team tells me, I wear the same blue shirt, the same black jacket pretty much every day of the week. I don't know, but my Radhika is pretty stylish. She has a bunch of friends who are pretty stylish.
Your
My wife. So I don't know. I don't really follow the stylish people. I tend to, I follow people like Steve Jobs and Tim Cook and Larry Page. I don't know. Do you think they're stylish?
They got their own style.
Yeah, a different style. Yeah.
And you wouldn't be caught dead where?
Actually, I'm not into things like trekking and anything that's massively physical, endurance related, which is sort of bizarre because my dad was big into endurance sports. So I wouldn't be caught dead doing a big trek where I have to trek through some hill for 5 days. I mean, there is no way. I could imagine being in a resort on the foothills of the trek, but not doing the trek.
Okay, Rajan. Well, this was fun.
It was fun. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition. We'll see you next time on Biz Lounge.